Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Card Advantage podcast. This is episode 15. We are back. Unfortunately, we missed last week because my co-host decided that his family was more important than this podcast and decided to go on vacation. Welcome back, Bunk.
Thank you, sir. I'm here.
How's everything?
Everything's great. You?
All good, all good. The 1 week you decide to go away is the 1 week that your boyfriend Wander got the call up. So we didn't get to talk. We didn't get to talk about that. So every other podcast did. So we're gonna be the guys that talk about it a week late, which is fine because I think it provides a different perspective on what we're gonna do with Wander. He got called up, hit a home run first game. Now he's hitting 136 since he's been called up. So that there's two questions that we'll talk about. One, what are we doing with Wander? Are we buying? Are we selling? Are we holding? And then the other is, what are we doing in similar situations, other big name call ups? What should people be doing? So we'll start with just talking about Wander, buy, sell, hold right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's played 6 games. So, are there people definitely? It's tough to see because I sold out of all my Wander Franco on check out my cards instantly. So I got what I wanted on all of them there.
Yeah.
And then he goes over for his next 17 or whatever it is. And I'm sure there's a few people throwing stuff up just trying to get what they can get. But I think it's still too early here. I think you got to hold. I think you got to hold on him if you haven't gotten rid of it already. And you're expecting top dollar, you're expecting what came out a week ago. You got to hold on to it. Or what you do is, and this applies to people that may be close to getting called up, is I'll do a daily search new listings, see if someone threw something up, buy it now, just to kind of get rid of it, and maybe you can get something under top of the market.
Yeah, it seems like obviously as soon as they made the announcement, he got the call up, his prices spiked, and then
then he hits the bomb,
then he hits the home run, and then everything juiced up a little bit more. And now, from what I'm seeing, his at least base type stuff is either back to where it was or almost where it was before the call up. So
yeah, so I think that applies to anything like his first Bowmans are 2019. I think those are still holding pretty good. I mean, they're not holding maybe the spike of that first few days, but they're still pretty good. They're no one's selling those for cheap. But yeah, to your point, his 2020 cards. They aren't considered his first Bowmans. You can probably get a couple of buck deal on those now.
Yeah, I mean those are the base type stuff, the Topps Chrome, the paper, the Bowman, all that is going to come back unless he goes on a tear.
No Topps Chrome yet, guy. Yeah. No Topps Chrome yet.
Oh, he doesn't have a Topps Chrome yet. Oh, it's all Bowman stuff. My bad. So yeah, unless he goes on a tear, that stuff's going to come back to where it was, and and that's the whole thing with this market is there's such hype and sell off. So with everything, unless you're holding it, buying after the call up announcement, you're going to be left holding the bag, unless of course the player goes on a ridiculous tear and hits the crap out of the ball for the first few weeks they're up. You're going to be left holding the bag, and a lot of people that bought Wander 75 to 100% more than what it was selling for before the call up are now left holding the bag. And so if there's guys that you're looking for at the minor league level, buy them now. Don't wait for the call up. You should be holding now until the call up comes, and then you can sell as soon as the call up announcement is made, and then potentially hold one or two things back for long term.
Yeah, and then pay attention to your top 15, 20 prospect list. You can see guys that are advancing through the system already. The Mariners just promoted Julio Rodriguez up to Double-A now. He'll be taking off for the Olympics soon too. But keep an eye on him. He's someone. Yeah, if you want him and you think he's going to come up, you got to get on him now.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. There are cards available for some of these guys now, and if you wait to buy for the call up, you're going to be screwed. And there's a lot of people that bought some of these cards at their peaks. If you look at the charts, and will it have long-term value? Potentially, but I'd much rather be in at $200 a piece than $350, especially with the softness of the base market right now.
Yeah, and again, it's all about your collecting goals. So if you're buying top of the market on Wander, you're probably buying, I would think, to sit on it,
Yeah.
because you think he's the real deal. I mean, I don't know how you can figure that out at 6 games in and at 20 years old, but I'd
Uh,
rather have bought, over the off season if I'm somehow have the magic to believe he's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. But nobody knows that.
I'm just enjoying. I'm enjoying the I'm right now
What are you
feeling.
right about? You're right about shit. 6 games in.
Hey, that's I said he's hitting 136 so far. I'm
Oh
more
my
right.
god,
I'm
you're
more
this
right
guy.
than you in regards to his major league
You're not even
success.
close to more right now with this sample size.
Yeah, well, hey, that's all we have to go on for the time being. So we'll have to see what he can do over the rest of the season. He's up now. More than likely, they're not. I don't know how it all works as far as the money is concerned, but once they call him up in the regular season, he's up, right? They're not sending him back down if he's not playing well, type thing.
I mean, they could. They could. I mean, they could. Look, I mean, Mariners did it with Kellenic.
True.
Kellenic came up 20 years old, hit 0.95, and he's back in Tacoma. But he's raking. He's got nothing left to prove. He's one of these guys. There's nothing left to prove at AAA. You just keep trying to get better, get a little older. More knowledge of the pitchers and the pitches he's seeing, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, well, we shall see. I mean, with all the hype around Wander and as far as I know, Devil Rays are not in contention for anything, correct? So you got to figure they're going to ride this
Or
out,
or they're in first place.
or they're in first place. Fair enough. Uh,
No, the Rays are solid, man. The
oh,
Rays are solid. I mean, I think he'd have to really struggle or be getting absolutely dominated at the major league level. And so far, small sample size, to my own point, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts. He's not getting overwhelmed. It's all it's working it out.
yeah, he's getting on base. He's scoring, which is what he's supposed to do. But we'll see whether or not those power numbers come, or whether or not he's just going to be an
Yeah, and
average run of the mill shortstop.
absolutely to your point, unless the guy's raking 330, yeah, people want selling purposes. They want 30 home runs.
Yeah, and
So I get it.
so that's going to be the thing here, and the higher end stuff, which we haven't talked about yet. That stuff continues to climb, but it's all eventually it's all going to depend on his ability to produce on the field, and we'll see how that goes.
Yep. Small sample size again. Like we talked about an episode or two ago. You got to do your homework. Got to
Yeah.
do your homework. If you're looking to get in, there are options for you where you won't be, in your words, left holding the bag.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's I mean that's the market as a whole right now is trying to find those entry points. Base market is soft, at least for basketball, and some of the other sports aren't as soft, but still kind of soft, and trying to find affordable, more rare cards, which in my opinion right now is the name of the game, because most people don't have thousands of dollars to be throwing around on some of this stuff. You're seeing it every day. I get the emails from Card Ladder every day, like so and so set a new record, and it's $1,500 or $2,000, and that's great, but the average collector doesn't have that kind of money.
Yeah, and listen, he's 20. He's 20. Like a lot of these young guys coming up early, he's 20 years old. There's a big window here for this guy to succeed if he's going to succeed. If he fails now, goes down, comes back up, you're still okay. He's not like a 26, 27-year-old coming up, or even 23, 24, and there's a smaller window where, okay, is this guy going to make it or not, and or have anywhere close to the career numbers to make a card valuable 10 years from now.
Yeah,
That's the fun part right now. He's 20.
yeah. I just like to,
Watch baseball, have fun. If you want to get in on it, you get in on it.
yeah, I just like to bust your balls.
I know.
So, but yeah, I mean, you got to hopefully you root for him. He seems like a good dude, and
Oh, he
but
seems awesome. Yeah.
I mean, but the patience level of your average investor, collector, flipper, especially with the growth over the last few years, people are real skittish about holding on to stuff. So, just be careful, and from our standpoint, as Bug said, he's 20, and you got to wait at least 3 or 4 more years to see if he's going to mature into the type of player that he's been hyped up as a prospect.
And from another buy, sell, hold perspective, this off season for me, I'll probably be looking at Wander 2020 and beyond cards.
Yeah.
That y'all get a good deal on those type of things over the off season when the buying's not as great, and then look to see what he does next season to turn those cards into something else I want.
Yeah, I mean, same with we talked about it a few episodes ago, Lou Bob, Luis Robert, and Eloy Jimenez, two guys, big time hype, and, have had some decent, have looked decent, but now are now hurt really early in their career and going to miss the rest of the season. I mean, their prices right now are very, very affordable. I mean, both of those guys are less than $100 on some of their Topps Chrome PSA 10 cards, and so that's definitely something that buy now or off season and wait until they hit a couple home runs in spring training or beginning of regular season, and you can easily flip those. Those will go right back up to where they were, and people will be back on that bandwagon again.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to move on to our investment lottery ticket section of the podcast. For at least the foreseeable future, I am staying away from basketball. Other than a few guys that are in the playoffs right now, the basketball market is incredibly soft. You're not seeing the level of softness of the market that you're seeing in basketball, in football, as well as baseball. Baseball, obviously, in season. So we're talking about some of that. And then football, there just seems to be more strength in that market right now. And yes, it had the same sell-off, but, it returned, a lot of the football prices that we're going to be looking at returned to where they were at the end of 2020 after the big spike and have settled in and created that new bottom, while basketball, guys like Zion, guys like Luka, that aren't in the playoffs, those cards continue to slide. Last time I checked, the Luka Prisms, were in the 700s. We haven't seen that in multiple years. Zion continues to slip. His cards are in the 300s. So we're going to have to wait to see where that bottom is before there are buying opportunities. So we're going to stay away from it. For the time being.
Football, listen, we're almost into July. We're getting closer to camp. People are starting to get their fantasy draft dates in hand, and that's really making them start thinking about football.
Yeah, I mean, I think when people are looking for something that's going to spark this market to get out of, the rut or the softness that it's in, I think you have two major things coming up. One, the National in a month, and then right after that, football preseason. I mean, literally the weekend, I think it may even be the weekend of the National, you have the Hall of Fame game preseason for football. I think that's when things are really going to start to light up. We have so much football product coming out this year and 5 quarterbacks. And, so we're going to be looking at a lot of football and baseball over the next few months, just because it's where the strength is going to be in these markets. We will start with Randy Moss. And, similar to what we looked at a couple of weeks ago, as far as guys that are top 5 at their position, that are selling for drastically less than the top guy. Randy Moss in certain cases is looked at as maybe even the best wide receiver of all time. In certain cases, number 2. And, if you look at his PSA 10, it's less than $500. If you look at Jerry Rice's PSA 10, rookie card, that's selling for like $80,000. So I think there's also a huge disparity here in regards to value. The card has pulled all the way back to, some support levels that we saw from the beginning of the year. I think that this is going to be some buying opportunities. Football is going to spike. And, I think that it's really affordable.
Where are we at on the pop on this Randy Moss?
So the pop for PSA 10 is $1,750 and it's $489. So it's less than $500. It peaked twice around around $1,300, and I think that there's definitely a possibility for that to get more valuable. As time goes on, and he is further and further from his playing days. Once again, the interesting discrepancies right now between BGS 9.5 and PSA 10. The last BGS 9.5 pop 404 sold for $168.
Yeah, that was the last one. But if you look at the buy it nows before that, a lot of them were going around $400. So I
Yeah.
don't know why that one slipped down. Sometimes auctions do that.
Yep.
I
So
believe it was a Probstein auction too. So
yeah, I mean, but you have stuff from the beginning of the year, back in January, that were all selling for, high 180s, low 200s. So I
we
mean,
think those buy it now 400s are an anomaly,
I think
or
I think those are people that are just throwing it up there, hoping to get that money. I definitely threw in an offer on a couple of these, as I was doing the research at 175 to 200 bucks. I didn't get any bites, but I threw it in there to see if I could convince them that the comps were, in that range, and pick up a Moss rookie BGS 9.5 for less than 200 bucks.
yeah. And then
Um,
the other thing to look at too, and maybe you have that auction in front of you, the one that ended for 168. But I know some of the higher value ones, and something for people to look at. I don't know if you do, but when you have
yep.
companies that have subgrades, I always look to see if I can get 4 9.5s or better on a 9.5.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
there's, I
so
mean,
so those will command a little bit more money. So if the 340s and the 400 Mosses, they were probably quad 9.5s or 3 9.5s and a 10, sort of subgrades.
Yeah, so if you look at all the recent sales, all of these are best offers, other than the auction that only closed for 168 bucks. So from April 11th through May 13th, the 8 sales that are at least listed on Card Ladder were all best offers. And then if you look at the previous auctions, those are all closing for less than 400. So I'd be keep your eyes open for these, and if it's a little bit out of your price range, still loving the PSA 9. Also created a bit of a new support bottom, and those are right around $100. Um, Population's a little high, but not crazy. But you're also talking about probably second best wide receiver of all time, rookie card at $100.
Yeah, and what's the pop on the 9?
The pop on the 9 is 3,700.
Wow. For the same price on a BGS 9 with a pop of only eight and change, also $100. So much less on the pop on a BGS 9, same price.
Yeah, the BGS 9s pop 833, and those are going for like $85. So overall, I mean, if we compare that to what we see on Jerry Rice, let's see, Jerry Rice, his PSA 9 population, pop 1000 is going for 3,050. So that's 30x what the Randy Moss is going for. And your PSA 10s, which is obviously a much, much lower pop at 59, those are going for 87,000, which is dramatically higher than, where Randy Moss is at.
Yeah, I mean, and Jerry Rice was just insane.
Yeah. Um,
But yeah, that's a big discrepancy.
Yep. So definitely something that you should take a look at in regards to that. We're gonna keep football on the brain here and move over to Matthew Stafford.
Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford guy. We're gonna look at Stafford's. We'll start with base. So his base PSA 10 population is super low on these. We may be maybe a day late on this. They were going for 380. Most recent sale went for 750. Let me look at. So that was a best offer. So there's two best offers that are high on these, but if you look at the auctions, in recent, you should be able to get this for less than 500. Stafford probably is going to be in the Hall of Fame based on his stats, and now he's in a chance to play for a team that's going to win. So I love Stafford, and think that even if you look at his PSA 9s, PSA 9 pop 92, getting it for less than $300, and this should be an easy flip couple games into the season, especially if he and the Rams are playing well.
Yeah, and it's always interesting in a new situation he's in. He's just stuck in Detroit.
Yeah, he's
Not
got
winning anything.
he's got weapons, Woods and Cup and Higbee and Cam Akers. He went from a shit offense to one of the best offenses in the league, and if he's better than Goff, which obviously a lot of people think he is, with that defense, they're in the conversation for Super Bowl. So it's definitely somebody that I would look at buying now, and holding to see how it progresses and how they're playing, and if he's playing well and the Rams are winning, keep holding until that's not the case, because it should continue to go up. Next is Terry McLaurin, another football guy. He's entering his third season. He should have somebody who can at least throw the ball better than Dwayne Haskins. His 2 previous seasons, he's had really solid stats. PSA 10, pop 218. And selling for less than $100. So I think that you definitely have the opportunity to turn this and flip it. Once the season starts and as things get closer to that, if the Redskins if he's playing well and looks good on the field, those values should easily be 50 to 75% returns, and those cards should hit $150 to $200.
Yeah, and the nice thing about him, he doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of stuff graded. There's not a huge amount of volume of him graded right now.
No, I mean, his PSA 10 silver pop 10, so I don't even know if you'll be able to find these, is going for $155 at last sale, and that was in January. So, there's not a huge market. So if you can find it raw that looks decent, and get it graded, SGC, HDA, quick turnaround, you should be able to make a little bit of money on that. But, I definitely think he's a guy that you can either hold long-term because he could have a great career, or, somebody that you can flip short-term just because he's so cheap right now.
See on your fantasy team?
He is not on my fantasy team.
All right.
Just looking for buying opportunities right now. It's a soft market, as we said before, and I'm trying to find things, football, baseball related that have created new floors and have some sense of support, so that there is low risk, some sort of decent return or reward opportunity.
Very cool.
Last but not least, for football, we got Mike Evans.
Mike Evans,
I know, is your favorite guy of all time.
Can't stand him.
He may be the most hated man in football in the Brunkhorst household for football season.
All fantasy related. Can't stand them.
Yeah. Let's see. So we'll look at Prism first. So if you look at Mike Evans's numbers, Mike Evans's numbers are surprisingly ridiculously good. He's played 7 seasons so far. He has gone over 1,000 yards in every single one of the seasons that he's played in. And if he continues at the level that he's at, he will easily, statistically anyway, be entered into the conversation of top 10 wide receiver of all time, at least stat-wise. So
that's crazy. In my head, the guy's a walking day-to-day. He's always hurt, but apparently he's not.
If you look at his numbers, he's played 15 or more games in, I believe, every single one of his seasons. I think he had one season where he had 13 games, but other than that, in his other 6 seasons, it's been 15 or 16 games every year, and every single year, even the season that he didn't play 15 games, I believe he still had over 1,000 yards. And obviously, now that Tom Brady's there, he should be a beast. Low pop 45. Looking at 2014 Prisms, and $150 right now, and it's been climbing for the last few months, but it's hard to find. His cards are not that readily available. If you look at Topps Chrome, population 290, it's $58.
Wow.
I mean, literally $58. And this, to me, this is something that you buy it now when it's incredibly cheap. They won a Super Bowl with Brady last year. If he gets another one or two with Brady over the next year or two, he has to enter the conversation if he gets another 6 or 7 seasons the way he's played the last 6 or 7 seasons. He has to enter that conversation, one of the top 10 wide receivers of all time.
So something dumb I like to do, like with your scenario there, $58. That's someone I'm buying 2 of that card. I'll look to flip one when it drives up a bit, and if he's going to be, to your point, going to be an all-time great, I got another one I'm sitting on.
Yeah,
and I probably paid for my other one.
Yep, 100%. I mean,
I love doing that.
It's so cheap. I mean, even if you look at the refractor, the 2014 Topps Chrome refractor, if you're not into base, quote unquote, even that it's going for $150. Pop 81.
People like shiny stuff, guy.
Yeah. If you're looking for low pop, rarer things that are more affordable, you can't afford the $1,500 cards and that you're seeing on social media. There are opportunities out there to find things that are smaller, that don't have thousands and thousands of cards, and that are good players on the field that potentially have some opportunity. And last but not least, switching to baseball, your favorite team. We are looking at 1997, David Ortiz.
Yay.
The Red Sox guy. The Red Sox, 1997 Fleer, David Ortiz. So right now, with Ortiz, the current prices on these cards are roughly $450. He is a fan favorite. He is a guaranteed Hall of Famer next year.
Maybe not.
I thought he was already voted in for 2022, or he's eligible.
No, I just pretend he's not a Hall of Famer because he's a steroid user.
Ah, gotcha.
None of the other ones are in.
Gotcha, but isn't he already voted in?
That I don't know.
I thought he was on the. I thought he was on the. Either he's on the ballot or he's already voted in. I thought he was already in, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Either way, $450, low pop around 1,000. He's eligible or already in 2022. More than likely, he probably will go in, I would think.
No one's cleaned up their image or hid the facts better. But he was one of the leaked names in that Mitchell report back in the day, and for some reason, nobody takes him to task over it. So, because he's a nice guy.
Oh, and he took a bullet in the Dominican Republic. So, all right. So it's not official, but the anticipation is that he will get in. So that the consensus is that he will get in.
Well, with the way his career has gone, the way he's been treated, and not, no one seems to care about the fact that he was in that report. Yeah, he's going to get in.
Yeah, I'm looking at his career stats. 540 home runs. That alone, pretty much gets you a ticket.
Yeah, multiple World Series. Yeah, I mean, no doubt, he's in.
He hit 286 with 540 career home runs and a couple World Series rings. So he'll get in.
And listen, his BGS 9.5 is strong too. It's rivaling the price of the PSA 10, I believe. And it only has a pop of about 700.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not available on Card Ladder. We just have PSA 10. But either way, you're talking about baseball, which is always strong. This thing peaked out at close to 1,100. It's trading, it's selling at about 400 to 450, depending on when you buy it. Definitely a good stash for the time being until he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. Should see a spike, especially as the markets come back. It's relatively affordable, especially if you look at PSA 9s, those are even cheaper. With relatively low pops for regardless of what you think about him, a top home run hitter in recent history.
Yeah, and to your point, you don't want to spend the $400 and wait for the Hall of Fame spike. I think nines are great options on him there.
Yeah, PSA 9s, BGS 9.5s. I think this is
careful on the 9.5. The last two with strong subs are $400.
And this is anecdotal, and we'll have to do a little bit of research, but it seems to be that BGS 9.5s in baseball are stronger than other sports. It seems like, your baseball market a lot of times is older guys, longer, been around longer, and they love Beckett. And that's similar to how you look at things. And I think that could be, when you're looking at baseball, BGS 9.5s is not necessarily a bad option compared to PSA 10s.
No, I meant to screenshot a few auctions for you the other day. I know this happens all the time, and people are well aware of it. But I can't get over the number of descriptions on a BGS 9.5 on an eBay listing that say this will most certainly grade a PSA 10. I laugh every time now.
Yeah, I mean, it's annoying the way that eBay can't crack down on people that list PSA 10 just for the search part of it. Even if the card's raw, they're like, "Oh, this will grade a PSA 10." I mean, that's super annoying to deal with.
I thought at one point a while ago they did try to do that, but I see it everywhere still.
They don't let you put the question mark anymore, so now you can just
Oh,
flat outright say it.
thanks.
But they don't let you. They don't let you use the question mark anymore.
Yeah,
That
every
is,
description on a BGS 9.5. This will grade a PSA 10.
yeah. So either way, any other stuff you want to take a look at um, in the investment lottery ticket section for this week?
Yeah, I think we did a good job there. I got one I'll hold for next week.
Got a little something you're gonna hold for next week.
A little something.
All right, fantastic. All right, so let's move on to our hot take. So Nat Turner from PSA has been making the rounds on podcasts, talking a lot about July 1st. And since we forgot to announce it, this podcast is being recorded on June 29th at 12:16 p.m. It will probably go live on July 1st when PSA reopens. So Nat Turner, who's part of the company that bought PSA and all the above, has been making the rounds on the podcasts, talking about July 1st and talking about the reopening. And for me, shout out to Sports Card Nonsense. That's where I heard the interview with him. I know that he also did Sports Card Investor and a few others. It seems to me that if you read between the lines in these interviews, that PSA, yes, they will open something back up on July 1st, but it seems to me anything that's going to be affordable or, that like for lower level cards is not going to be available for 2 years. I mean, and so my feeling is, when they open back up July 1st, I don't think you're going to see anything less than $100 available for PSA. He said they still have 5 million cards to get through in order to be caught up.
Wow. Yeah. So what does that mean? If the minimum submission, you're suggesting $100 per card?
I don't think they open up a price tier that's less than $100.
Wow. And because they have the earlier turnaround time still open, but $100. I mean, what we're talking about? Think about the type of card you're just gonna have to send in if you're gonna pay $100.
Well, not only that, but you're gonna have to wait still 6 to 12 months.
Well, I mean, again, we don't know what they're guaranteeing turnaround times, but I can't imagine they're gonna make you pay $100 to get something graded and wait 2 months. But I guess if you have 5 million backlogged, I guess that could be the case.
I mean, if you listen to the specifics, he basically said, we're not going to go out and hire 1 million people. We're trying to grow at a reasonable rate, so that they're not going to, get this backlog cured by hiring a whole bunch of, potentially unqualified graders. So you still have 5 million cards in backlog, and they're going to accept new submissions. He basically said they're able to do like 30,000 cards a day.
Yep.
And at one point,
which is nuts if you think about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. But at one point, he's like, we were getting 600,000 cards a day for via submission. So there's a huge discrepancy. And he also said that if we need to control this with price. So all these guys that are sitting on their hundreds of base cards that they want to send in, if they're $100 a piece and the base market is soft, you got to figure they're going to send it elsewhere.
Right.
I mean, I don't think PSA wants to control the market with like a lottery like HGA. I think they want to just do it with price.
And
And
it's gonna be real interesting to see. So if to your point, if people are sending hundreds and thousands of cards to some of these other companies that remain open, are they almost flooding some of the current market cards elsewhere so that when it comes time for them, their pop reports look even better and their secondary market prices are even better.
well, I mean, the only two games in town right now, as far as I know, that have any kind of respect on their name is SGC and HGA, because Beckett's shut down for the rest of the year. And if PSA doesn't open up a lower tier, which I don't think that they will, because if as soon as they open a lower tier, then it's a flood, because guys have been sitting on their cards for the last 6 months to send to PSA.
Right, and a lot of people are sitting because they know PSA is the better resale secondary market, so they refuse to send anywhere else.
Yeah, 100%. I think that that's definitely something that people have to keep in mind. But I don't think that, and granted we're only 2 days away, but I don't think you're going to see an option from PSA that's less than $100.
Yeah, and I got to see what the turnaround times are going to be on the whatever level they open because if you're sending that kind of caliber card, many times, especially after new releases and stuff, you need that turnaround in order to optimize your return if that's your goal.
Oh yeah, he said at the end of the interview the amount of heat and venom that they got from people who have had their cards into PSA for the last 9 to 12 months, and the just the complete softening of the market and the prices going lowering
Oh,
by
people lost
80%.
thousands, tens of
Yeah.
thousands of dollars because of this.
Yep, 100%. And people like basically Nat Turner is just like, yeah, we get hate mail every day because they sent it in. The card was worth $1,000. Now it's worth 200. So it's a huge thing, but at the same time, there's nothing they could do about it.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's gonna get real interesting.
So yeah, we'll see when that happens. I'm sure there'll be all kinds of announcements and all kinds of posts on social media about it, but I don't think that, and I don't even know if $100 will do it. They may be somewhere at like 150. Just because they can't afford to continue to have six figures a day come in, and they won't ever clear a backlog.
Yeah, but think about the type of card you're gonna have to send at that price point. You're gonna see some sick cards coming back because they're probably gonna be pretty darn high end,
Yeah,
and there's not gonna be a lot of them.
yeah. I mean, it definitely has the ability to change the landscape of the entire market,
100%.
because once they clear the backlog, if all their stuff is $100 or more, you can't take a mediocre base card and send it in, that you buy for $10 or $20 and send it in for $100 and flip it, because you'll be upside down.
No, you
And
can't. It's gonna be low numbered, rare, top of the line.
yeah, I mean, in order for you to, unless it's a PC, that you're just going to hold and you want it to be in a PSA slab for prosperity,
You
then
almost said PSA 10.
then you have to go to SGC, HGA, or we'll see what happens with Beckett when they open back up. I mean, they're shut down for the next 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to Beckett opening back up. I got a few I'd like to send to them, but got to see what the price is.
Yeah, I mean, so the next 6 to 12 months is really going to give us an idea of where we go, going forward in this market, as far as what's going to be valuable and where people's attention is going to be. Just because the grading is the primary way that people gain value on flipping cards, and PSA and BGS will determine what direction things are going to go in. And there will be somebody that emerges to control a base market.
Well, think even 3 to 5 years out. You have whatever we're calling right now ultra modern cards, where there's just a crazy amount that have been submitted, and now for the last X number of months into the near future, there's just not as many being submitted to BGS and PSA. So all of a sudden, you're gonna have these huge discrepancies in population reports.
Yeah.
So I wonder what that does. Does that ruin ultra modern and temporarily really spike the new ultra modern because there's just not that many graded? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, if you look at it, it was crazy. Like, I started looking up, trying to find some stuff for basketball just to see prices. So you look at Anthony Edwards. it's almost impossible to find an Anthony Edwards base card at PSA 10. Like those are crazy
Right.
rare right now because nobody's going to spend the $300 to get that graded. And so that it's really going to be interesting to see where the pop reports on this stuff goes. And your PSA 10 base cards, if they're too expensive, those may take on more value because there's only 100 of them. There's only 100 people that submitted them to get graded.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe if you got some money, you take advantage, and as soon as PSA opens, you are the guy that submits
Yeah,
a bunch of the high right away, and be and have one of two that are graded, whatever.
yeah. I mean, LaMelo and Edwards, there's next to nothing. But here's a fun fact I'll drop in for you as far as some of the research. Did you know that there is 32,000 1989 Ken Griffey Upper Deck PSA 9s?
32,000. I didn't know it was that high. I mean, I know it's high because 1989 they made a billion of everything.
I did not. I mean, but yeah, but still, that's 30 years ago, and it's 1989, so it's like. But I haven't seen a card pop higher than that so far. Like I thought that, Luca was high at 17,000, but
And climbing.
But yes, I have not seen anything higher than the 32,000 on the 1989 Griffey PSA 9.
Yeah, those should be like $10.
They're like 200.
Yeah, it's crazy. Maybe not 10. I'm selling Griffey short. Griffey was great.
Yeah, I mean top 5, top 10 baseball player of all time, but still there's 32,000 of them. It's nuts.
How many 10s are there?
I think there's like 25,000 10s.
Get out of here.
I'm almost positive. It's a crazy high number. Let me see.
I mean, with 25,000 10s, that definitely taints your 9 value. But your 10s are selling for quite a bit.
This is the star rookie. I need to get the regular one. So there's 33,000 PSA 8s. 26. Oh, I'm sorry. So 33,000 PSA 8s, 26,000 PSA 9s, and there's only 3,900 PSA 10s. And then
that's a lot of graded Griffies.
And then BGS 9.5 is 2,800. So yeah, there's a ton of 1989 Upper Deck Griffey stuff.
Ton of it in people's garages too.
Yeah, well, I mean that still will continue to be unearthed. People that are digging through piles of stuff. I have a friend of mine who finally had that sports card conversation with, and I got 14 text messages over the weekend of pictures of cards from the 80s of like, are these worth any money? And for the first time since I started getting those text messages, he actually had a couple cards that were, worth some bucks. 1984 Elway and Walter Payton rookie, and so there's some stuff in there that he had that was actually worth some money.
Nice.
All righty. Anything else you want to say about PSA?
No, nothing.
I'm still waiting on my BGS versus PSA rant video from you.
Yeah, I got a lot of them.
Well, why don't you turn on the camera and the mic and share with the people?
Yeah, I'll let them reopen first.
Sounds good. All right, so we'll close out with Peanut Gallery. Peanut Gallery, we talked about it a little bit over the course of this podcast, but the basketball market, we got a few questions, people asking about when should we start buying basketball again, and is base basketball reacting differently than the other sports? We've already addressed that a little bit. I do think base basketball is definitely a softer market, and those prices continue to dip. But as far as basketball in general, it's similar to some of the other stuff. Anything that's higher end, more rare, prices are still going up. That market is strong. But your base market for basketball continues to slide, which you're not seeing as much of in other sports. So I'm waiting to see a bottom. I'm not jumping in the pool on Luka at $700. You know, I personally think if you look at some of the technicals on his card in particular, that card will settle in at like 550 before it creates a new bottom.
That's gonna make a lot of people unhappy.
Yeah, there's a shit ton of people that bought that card at $1,200 and thought they got a deal.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what the future holds on that, but I think you got to figure there's at least another 3 to 5,000 PSA 10s that are sitting at PSA waiting to come back.
There's 5 million cards there. That could be low.
Yeah, so you'll have to figure that there's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 25,000 Luka PSA 10s floating around. So at least on the base side of things. So I definitely think that you have the base market for basketball, especially as it goes into the off season, is going to keep going down. You might want to start looking at that in August, September, and see if there's new bottoms for that. But for right now, I'm not touching anything basketball unless it's guys that are still in the playoffs, guys that are potentially Hall of Fame, or you may even see a little bit of a jump for the Olympics, especially if the U.S. wins gold. But even that, it seems to me that there's too much that needs to move the market in basketball right now. I mean, Trey has played his fucking ass off, and his base stuff still has not jumped that much.
And why do you think that is? Do you think it's the sheer volume?
Volume. People are scared to buy base because everybody's talking about how weak the market is. And there may be less interest, from some of the stuff overseas. People are looking for the next hottest thing to flip. And, I was watching Leighton Open women's golf cards yesterday, so it's just like, why? But people want to see if there's any money in that, I guess. Women.
And there probably is.
I guess. I mean, but I personally don't care about women's golf, and I don't even really care about men's golf for that matter. But it seems that people are trying to find these alternate markets, and it's driving people away. Plus, crypto markets are soft, and a lot of people that are trading cards are also in that, so people have less money. And the government faucet of money has seemed to have turned off for the time being, which also takes more money out of the market.
Right. So all the more reason, do your homework, keep following the trends, especially with the seasonality of basketball. As soon as these playoffs are over, you're gonna have a little quiet period here, and like to your point, check in late August, early September, and see where things are at compared to 3 to 6 months earlier.
Yeah, and we got to see the draft class, and is there a Zion level of excitement in this class, or was it is it going to be quiet similar to what you saw from LaMelo and Anthony Edwards? So there's a lot of factors, but right now, I personally would be unless it's low pop, higher value basketball, I'm not touching it for the time being until we see where this market settles.
Sounds good.
All right, Guy. Anything else you'd like to talk about today?
No, sir.
All right. For those of you, actually, hopefully all of you, will be celebrating America this weekend. Happy July 4th to everybody. And we will see you next week.